So this video, I wanted to briefly talk about this pen. As many of you can tell from the shape and size, it's a Fisher Space Pen bullet pen. This one's interesting because it comes in a material that I've never seen before, which is a raw titanium. Fisher Space Pen, they use titanium a lot in their sort of coatings. They have a titanium nitride version of the bullet pen and of the AG7, their astronaut pen. But I've never seen a fully titanium pen from them, aside from one that we've talked about on this channel before, but it's sort of a really weird offering from them, this other model, which I'll mention in the comments. This one I bought used off eBay, and they appear now and then, and they're usually sold just as a raw titanium bullet pen. And you can see it has a satin finish, kind of a nice light satin finish. It doesn't appear to have a clear coat on it or anything like that. Kind of some wear marks and some scratches and stuff like that. It seems to just be the raw titanium. It does not have a clip. And in most ways, it's just a very standard Fisher Space Pen bullet pen. It just comes in this very cool material. I think this one looks great. And when you feel it in your hand, it has that sort of titanium feel to it. Might be familiar with if you've used a satin titanium pen before. Again, no clip, very little in the way of markings. The only branding on it is it says Space Pen by Fisher, and that sort of italic Fisher font, which is common, and then USA. They make all their pens in the USA. That includes, I guess, this titanium one. The bottom half is in really good shape. When these things have a lot of wear, you could tell that the O-ring gets kind of messed up, and this one, the O-ring is in great shape. All the O-rings have a little indentation right here. That's just so that when you push it like this, there's some place for the air to escape. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to go in and out that easily. Opening it up is the interesting part here. We see the standard piece of brass hardware right here. That's on pretty much all the Fisher Space Pens, the bullet pen, the AG7, all of them. And then I had changed the refill, so this is just a 518 refill. I believe the pen is from before this. Usually these refills last so long that if you have a Fisher Space Pen and you don't know what year it came from, you could open it up. If you're buying it used or you bought it a long time ago, it was gifted to you, it usually has the original refills in it, which they last for a long time. And that 518, that'll just be when the refill was manufactured. So it's a pretty good approximation of when the pen was manufactured. Usually they're within a few months of each other, is my understanding. Again, the refill I got with this one, it didn't work. So I had to change it for this relatively new one. Here's that bottom half, has a nice weight to it. Again, that's from that big hunk of brass, not from the titanium. There's a little spring in here. That just keeps the refill from rattling. And then this thing's rattling a little bit. I think there's just a spacer in there, again, to keep things from rattling. This piece of brass is fitted to the titanium. I'm not sure if it's epoxied or whatever, but this is a common failure point with these pens, with all the Fisher Space Pens. The brass will spin inside the body. This one seems to be in very good shape, which is a really good sign coming from a used pen. Sometimes, you get it, and as soon as you spin it like this, the whole top spins and it won't tighten down. That's because it came loose. But it does have a lifetime warranty. You can get it replaced. The problem is if the pen is no longer made by Fisher, they can't replace it. Sometimes they will repair it for you, but I'm not sure if they will repair a pen like this. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm not really sure. And there's nothing to this right here, just a piece of titanium. I am pretty sure this is titanium. I don't see any painting or coatings or anything like that. I think this is just a piece of extruded titanium. The pen came with this gift box, which is sort of a felted gift box. And if you open it up, you can see it is branded Fisher Space Pen. So I'm pretty sure this is the original. And it says guarantee there. It doesn't say like titanium model or anything like that. So I can't really 100% guarantee that this is the pen it came with. And there's no other boxes or anything like that. Opening up inside, we can see that it's actually like a steel box, which is pretty cool. It's not some, junky piece of plastic, which makes me think this is pretty old. Here we have the original pamphlet in here. And usually these are generic with Fisher. So it won't be about the pen itself. So you don't generally get any cool details about what you bought. You just get the, some insight into maybe how old the pen is, because this is the original marketing materials. And you could maybe we could use some context clues to figure out how old the pen is. Keep it still in case you want to pause it and read this. Here we see some pretty dated looking fonts. I think that's pretty good. Look at that. That's a strange, almost like a Comic Sans, pretty close. And then we see, again, no dates here, but also no mention of a website or an email. So I think that's a somewhat good indicator that this pen's pretty old, definitely pre-2018 when that refill is dated. And here we have, again, this is just generic information about Fisher and their backstory, stuff like that. Not anything about this pen itself. So this is a pretty cool little indicator of the history, but it won't give you any information about the pen itself. And now we see on the guarantee, we see $5.95. So this was printed in May 1995, I would bet. And so I would say this pen is probably from the mid 90s, maybe 96, 97, maybe 95, but I would say right around there would be my best bet. I did some research on this beforehand and I couldn't really find anything. So it was cool that this packet came up, and there's a good chance this pen was just sitting in someone's desk drawer for a long time, or maybe it was, went through a couple different, pawn shops or used pen sellers, who knows, but it was definitely maintained in very good shape. And this plastic, you're seeing some cracks, but that crack might have just been from just now. This stuff definitely wears down over time, and it gets really gross when the felt starts coming off. And that's when you have to throw it out. That hasn't happened yet. Okay, back to the Fisher Space Pen in the raw titanium. This one's in great shape. I was really happy to find this one. If you're looking for them used, they're relatively rare, but you can find them, and you just have to be careful with the pricing. Usually it's like between you and one other person that's bidding on for these things, which is a pretty niche item, and it can get kind of drag out fight if you guys are both deeply committed to getting one of these pens. Again, I just have a standard new Fisher, the PR4, which is their black medium ballpoint ink. It's pressurized, so this one will write upside down, underwater, and very cold, 0G, whatever, all that other stuff that you would know from the Fisher Space Pen. This one's writing really nicely. This pen, you basically have to use capped, in which case you're getting pretty much a full-size pen. These are 1/2-inch hashes, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 inches. This one sticks out a little bit more than it should. I don't know if that was a manufacturing defect or that little spacer we heard rattling around was too long, or maybe it was a small run of the titanium, so they just didn't nail the sizing perfectly. It's hard to say. I doubt it's the size of the pen itself. It's probably that little thing, that little floppy thing inside might be misplaced, or maybe it was supposed to be glued to the top. Maybe the previous guy put some junk in there and I haven't been able to get out yet. It's hard to tell when you're using a used pen. This is a little bit unsightly, so I probably won't mess around and try to fix it, but it's definitely sticking out too far. You shouldn't see that little piece of gold sticking out, but again, that's pretty minor squabble given that the pen is, getting on 30 years old and in really great shape. And it's hard to say how rare it is. Maybe Fisher sold, 10 million of these in 1995, but based on the marketplace, you don't see a lot of them. Like the Holy Grail obviously would be the AG7 or the CH4, the astronaut or the shuttle pens, which are the retractable clicky ones in a raw titanium, but I've never seen those before. So yeah, it's a Fisher Space Pen bullet pen in raw titanium. Just a fun vintage find. Thanks for watching.